My ex-girlfriend found me at my new job. Later that night, I realized she'd also found the spare key to my house. It started with her just appearing in the middle of the supermarket where I was stocking cans. Chloe just stood at the end of the aisle, smiling that same smile I ran from 6 months ago, too wide, held for too long. She said she was just passing by and that it was fate. I mumbled something polite, feeling an icy dread crawl up my spine. For the rest of my shift, I could feel her eyes on me, even when she was long gone. I drove home with a heavy feeling and trying to convince myself it was just paranoia. I parked and, out of habit, glanced at the old flower pot by the front steps. It was moved, just slightly, an inch to the left, but I knew its position like the back of my hand. My heart dropped into a void. I rushed to the pot and flipped it over. Empty. There was no metallic chill of the key under my fingers. My head started to swim. She was here. Maybe she was still here. I backed away from the door, my mind racing. Call the police? What would I say? My ex took a key I left under a pot? They'd dismiss it as a domestic squabble, and I'd look like a paranoid fool. Or I could peek in a window, make sure the house was empty, and then figure it out. This was my house, my fortress. I could not let her just take it. I chose the latter. Carefully, on my toes, I circled the house to the living room window. It was dark and quiet inside. Nothing seemed out of place. I almost let out a sigh of relief, deciding she'd just taken the key for later, when my phone buzzed in my pocket. A message glowed on the screen. It was from my own number. I opened it, and my blood ran cold. 5 words. Why are you standing outside? The choice was gone. It had been made for me. She was inside. She was watching me. And she was playing a game. Panic threatened to swallow me whole, but I forced myself to breathe. And the police were definitely not an option now. She'd hear the call, and who knew what she was capable of when cornered. There was only one other way in, one she did not know about, an old window in the utility room with a latch that had been broken for years. I slipped around the corner of the house, feeling like a thief breaking into my own home. My hands trembled as I pried at the frame. The window gave way with a soft creak that sounded like a gunshot in my ears. I froze, listening. Silence. I climbed inside, landing on a pile of old newspapers. The air in the house was stale and alien. A faint scent of her perfume hung in it, jasmine and something sweet, cloying. A smell I used to love that now made me feel sick. I took off my shoes and moved down the hallway, becoming a shadow. Every creak of the floorboards was thunder. The living room, the kitchen, empty. I almost believed she had left, that the message was just a cruel joke to scare me. The last room was the bedroom. My bedroom. The door was slightly ajar. I pushed it with my fingertips. The room was plunged into darkness. I took one step inside, fumbling for the light switch on the wall. At that exact moment, the door slammed shut behind me with a deafening crack. A lock clicked. I grabbed the knob. It was locked. I was trapped. From the darkness, her calm, quiet voice spoke. "You're finally home, sweetie." I threw myself against the door, hammering it with my fists and my shoulder. "Chloe, open this door! What is this game?" I yelled, but the only answer was the sound of her steady breathing from the darkness. I stopped fighting the door, realizing it was useless. My rage was replaced by an icy terror. "I'm not playing a game," she said, her tone as casual as if we were discussing dinner. "I'm just taking care of you." "You've really let yourself go." Something rustled in the dark, and then the switch of the bedside lamp clicked on. The room was flooded with a dim, sickly light. Chloe was sitting on my bed, cross-legged. Next to her was a neatly folded pile of my clothes. "You leave dirty dishes in the sink," she continued, her voice full of fake disappointment. "I washed them, and I threw out the milk, it was expired, and I rearranged your books alphabetically. It's better this way, isn't it?" I stared at her, my brain refusing to comprehend. She was not talking like a stalker, but like a disgruntled housewife. In that moment, I understood the true depth of her madness. She was not here to get revenge. In her twisted reality, she was still living with me. That thought was more terrifying than any weapon, and in it, I saw a sliver of hope. If she did not want to hurt me, but care for me, maybe I could reason with her. "Chloe," I began, my voice as calm as I could make it. "I appreciate that. I really do. But this is not right. Let's have you open the door, and we can talk." She tilted her head, and for a second, something like understanding flickered in her eyes. "Talk? Okay. I'd like that." She slowly stood up and walked toward the door. I tensed, ready for anything, but she stopped short of the lock. "But first," she whispered, her face twisting, "you have to keep your promise." "What promise?" I asked, confused. "You promised we would always be together. Remember that picnic by the lake? I found the knife we bought for the cheese. I'll prove it to you, that it does not hurt. I'll go first, and then you." I heard the dry click of a blade being unsheathed. My attempt to negotiate had led me to the edge of an abyss. I stood paralyzed, my back pressed against the door she was guarding with a knife. My mind raced, searching for an escape. Fighting in a locked room? Insane. Screaming? No one would hear. And then, at the absolute bottom of my despair, I saw it. My laptop, open on my desk. In that instant, the insight came. I could not defeat her world with force or logic, but I could shatter it. I knew her one true weakness, not me, not our past love, but her desperate need to appear perfect to others, her carefully curated social media persona. In one fluid motion, I grabbed the laptop and clicked the Go Live button on her favorite social network. The webcam activated. I aimed it at my own pale, terrified face. "Hey, everyone," I said, my voice shaking but loud. "Sorry for the late stream. I'm here with Chloe. She came over for a visit, but I think she's not feeling very well." Behind the door, there was only silence. "Yeah, Sarah, Jess, I see you're watching." I began reading the names of her best friends from the viewer list. "Could you tell her to unlock the door?" "She's locked me in the bedroom, and I think she has a knife." I could hear her breath hitch on the other side. I was not threatening her. I was not yelling. I was simply dragging her private madness out of our dark little world and into the light, to be judged by the very people whose opinions she cherished. "She says she wants to prove her love to me." I looked directly into the camera. "Can someone please call the police? I'm writing the address in the chat now." A choked sob came from the hallway. Then a clatter, the knife hitting the floor. I heard her panicked, rapid footsteps moving away down the hall. The sound of the front door opening and slamming shut, and then silence. When the police arrived, I was still sitting on the floor, staring at the laptop screen. They found her 2 blocks away, crying on a park bench. Later, after it was all over, I stood in my kitchen. On the counter, right where she had left it, was my spare key. I took it, walked out onto the porch, and with all my strength, I threw it into the dark of the night. I never heard it land. If this is the kind of history you crave, a like and subscribe is the proper signal.